Now, if you're looking for a new saxophone like I am at the moment, then you're probably asking yourself this same question. What is the best saxophone that you can get today? Now, to help you along with this, I've actually gone ahead and borrowed a whole bunch of saxophones, including these two beauties. And in today's video, I'm going to be comparing the classic Selmer Super Balanced Action from the 1940s with the modern incarnation of this saxophone, the Selmer Reference 36. I'm going to put them through a whole bunch of tests, comparing them in loads of different styles, so we can see together which one sounds the best, which one plays the best, performs the best, and hopefully it's going to help you with your decision on which saxophone to choose as well. Hey, if you're new here, don't forget to click the subscribe and the bell thing so you find out about new videos when I put them out. I'm making them all the time and I don't want you to miss any of them. Okay, loads to talk about today. Let's get stuck in. G'day, Nigel here from Sax School. Hey, thanks for joining me for another one of these videos. Now, this question about what is the best saxophone, it's a great question. I get asked it a lot, in fact, from our Sax School members. We've got thousands of members in Sax School now, so you can imagine it comes up quite a lot. Now, the thing is, I'm not really up to speed on what's new on the market, so it's been quite an interesting journey for me over the last few weeks to check out what's available. This is my main tenor, this Dave Guadala tenor I've had since 1993, I think. So it's done thousands of shows, but I am ready for a change and something that's going to improve a few things that I don't really like about this saxophone. That's another story. Now, I'm really lucky that one of my Sax School members has got a huge collection of saxophones, and he's very graciously loaned a bunch of them to me to do this testing. So thanks very much, Martin. I really appreciate you sharing your saxophones with me. In today's video, what we're going to do is compare these two saxophones, and I'm going to play them on like 4 different styles. So classical, straight ahead jazz, funky poppy sort of thing, and like down and dirty bluesy jump jivey thing. So 4 different styles of playing. If you want to get straight to where I'm testing those, then you can go straight to that at this time up here. But just before we get started with the playing, I want to tell you a little bit about these saxophones. So the first saxophone is this Selmer Super Balanced Action. Now this is like a classic, one of the classic desirable vintage saxophones. I've never really been into vintage saxophones, I'll be honest with you. The things that always concerned me were the mechanism, the way they felt under my hands, but there's no denying the build quality of this is incredible, because according to Selmer's website, they made these between 1948 and 1953, and this particular one was made in 1949. So this is like a 71-year-old saxophone. I think that's right. That's an old saxophone, right? 70 odd years that this saxophone has been played, which is incredible. And I have to say, it plays really, really well as well. But there are, some things about it being a vintage horn that feels different to a modern horn. Now, in contrast, this other saxophone, the Selmer Reference 36, is kind of like Selmer's modern take on the SBA. So it's interesting to compare these two. So this is a brand new saxophone that you can get today that is a kind of modern version of that. Hopefully captures the same sound, but the mechanism's been updated, although it still has things like it doesn't have the high F sharp, and it feels very kind of similar under the fingers actually. So first off, the keywork. Now, it's quite interesting comparing these two saxophones. Obviously, this is a 70-something-year-old saxophone, and this is a new saxophone. So you would expect the keywork on the modern saxophone to be better, and it actually is. It feels so much smoother under your fingers, and you can move really quickly between the notes. In fact, although it's not the fastest modern saxophone that I've played, I actually prefer the Yanagisawa mechanism to this, or even the Yamaha mechanism. But yeah, it does feel great, and everything's where it's supposed to be, and everything's very positive when you're playing. In contrast, this saxophone, the SBA, I find personally I would need to really think when I'm playing something fast. You'll hear it in the demos later on. There's lots of lumpiness in my playing because I'm struggling to get my fingers around the keys and they don't feel quite as natural to me. Maybe it's because I've spent so many years playing modern horns, so I would need to spend quite a lot of time on this in order to get smooth on it. In terms of sound, I absolutely love the sound of this SBA, particularly the low register and the recorded sound. It's just so sweet, fat, big, warm sound. And surprisingly, the sound is great all the way up into the Altissimo as well. So it really does have a lovely warm sound. This also, the Reference 36, also has a lovely warm sound, but it does definitely sound like a modern horn. I don't know what the difference is, the alchemy, weird science that goes on between the two, but when I play it, even with my eyes closed, this sounds to me like Ben Webster or Lester Young or some old 40s 50s sort of saxophone sound, whereas this has got elements of that, but definitely also sounds a bit more modern. Interestingly enough, though, when you do push the sound on the SBA, you can still get a pretty fat contemporary sound out of it as well. So it does everything really in terms of the sound. Now, Altissimo is quite surprising. On this SBA, the Altissimo is absolutely fantastic. It just pops straight out. Same with the overtones, actually. I don't really need to think about it. It just works. Yeah, it's the same on this, the overtones work great. And the Altissimo, it's really easy to get as well. It feels very, I'm quite confident with the Altissimo, even though I've only just picked the saxophone up in the last couple of days. Interestingly enough, the Altissimo on my Godala that I've been playing for years has always been difficult. And even I've been testing some Yanagisawa saxophones. I love them as well, but I find the Altissimo a bit more challenging. So the Altissimo on these Selmers, both of them, excellent. So the final thing I was testing for was intonation. And I guess not surprisingly, on the Modern Reference 36, the intonation was pretty good. There were a couple of notes that caught me out because I guess they're different to my Godala that I've played for such a long time. But overall, so consistent and even up into the Altissimo. Now, in contrast, the SBA, there are a few notes on there that really I had to really concentrate on because they were out of tune. It's not a big thing. If I spent, a few hours working on the Altissimo, I'm sure you could program yourself to get around them. But straight away, when you pick the saxophone up, the intonation is definitely different. So if you're going for a vintage saxophone, that's just something that you need to work around. Now, just before I play through both these saxophones in some different styles, can you let me know if you have a favorite saxophone? What is your recommendation? Let me know in a comment below. I'd love to know, is it a modern horn? Is it a vintage horn? What brand do you love? Okay, so let's put these two saxophones to the test. Now, I'm going to play through 4 different pieces in 4 different styles. These are actually all pieces from the Sax School lesson library. So the tunes that you can learn inside Sax School. If you're interested to find out more, you can check it out at mcgillmusic.com. But I've chosen these 4 tunes because they're in different styles. So we're going to start off with a classic jazz, Ben Webster transcription, and then we're going to look at a Wilton Felder, the classic Street Life solo, and then I'm going to play through a down and dirty jump jive Sam Butera solo off Bonacera, and then something fun, a classical piece at the end, just to see how the mechanism works and how fast I can push these saxophones. Have a listen and let me know what you think in a comment. Okay, so let's do some playing and see what they sound like, and then we can talk about how they feel. So for all the playing, I'm using the same mouthpiece, which is this Theo 1A Slant Sig. It's a size 8 hard rubber, and I'm playing a Leger Signature 2.5 reed. I'm also using the same microphone and the same audio interface, so everything else is constant. It's just the saxophones that are changing. So let's have a listen. Hey, thanks for sticking around. So those are the two saxophones that I'm testing out today, the Selmer Balanced Action and the Selmer Reference 36. I love both of these saxophones, and if I had to choose one out of the two, for me it would be the Reference 36, just because I've got that combination of fantastic mechanism and the sound. Although I absolutely love this saxophone and I would love to have this in my personal collection, for a utility saxophone, I think this is an amazing instrument actually, because it's giving you the best of everything, plus it's hopefully a saxophone that's going to last you for another 70 years. That being said, my journey of checking out saxophones isn't finished, and I have a bunch of other saxophones that I'll be testing over the coming weeks, so keep an eye out for the videos on my channel here. As always, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this, and if you want to find out more about practicing saxophone, learning saxophone, developing your skills, and become a part of our amazing community of learners at Sax School, then go check it out at mcgillmusic.com. There's a 14-day trial where you can get started with membership and check it out. I'd love to see you in there. Okay, well, whatever you're doing, keep practicing hard, and I'll catch you next time.